we buried Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings, former President of the Republic of Ghana. May his soul continue to rest in peace. And 6 years to this day, the Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, assumed office. So it's his 6th anniversary today.
Vale, why are you coughing?
She's got a chesty something here. We'll give you water. We'll give you water. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good
Some dates to think about as we go along the day. Coffee Day here, reporting for duty. It's a beautiful day. And what's up?
Alma Taki reporting for duty. We hope you have a swell weekend. I'm super excited because I've made some plans for the weekend.
Nice.
Yes. I'm going to just vanish.
Okay. Ooh. Like a dwarf. Mutia.
Mysterious Ebusia dwarf. I think that's my Ghana team that I support now.
They are mysterious and they are dwarfs. It's
oh
crazy.
yes, the people will just vanish. If you look at their height, they just enter into a hole. And
where is he? It's gone.
But we hope you are getting ready for a swell weekend. We definitely have a swell show packed for you today with loads and loads and loads of music.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
The ladies will be sitting with me when I look at all the stories making the headlines. The NDC side, lots happening there. They have a lot to say. A reshuffle and then the aftermath. What's all that about? Shamima will sit with me, as will Akosia Hansen.
Okay, dogs. And so, there's lots of music, but before we talk music, we're starting a campaign. We started last year and we stopped. We're looking at how clean your beach is, and so use the hashtag how clean is your beach. We're beginning today with Keep an Eye from the La Beach. Okay, so send all your pictures and hashtags to our WhatsApp number 05555611034. And then onto the music, we're going to have the scoop with Chrissy P. What do you want to know about Chrissy P? What is your favorite Chrissy P music? Do you know any Chrissy P songs of the head calf?
Yes, they are bubbling in my head, but you don't want to hear them now. Bubbling in my head.
Okay, and then also we have King Isoba is going to be in studio. He'll be having breakfast with us. We'll find out what he's been up to and what is up his sleeve for the coming year. Also, we are sitting down with Jay Nice.
Hey, K Nice, Jay Nice.
T Nice.
K Nice. Oh no, K.
No, it's T Nice.
T Nice.
K Nice.
No, K Nice is already taken.
So Day Nice,
Day Nice,
and P Nice,
Day Nice, Day Nice, M Nice, M for multi.
M Nice.
Look, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. The police are still standing by intersections watching their phones. I'm seeing the glare of their phones whilst people on bicycles are parking in the middle of the road and causing mini heart attacks to drivers like me. Police, please get off the phones, do the work, all right? We're all doing the work. And so is Martiti, who comes up at 7 o'clock with the sports news. But ahead of that, she's got the breakfast news right now. 27th of January, good morning. The longest month is about to end. Aren't you happy?
Finally, finally.
Of GTV Breakfast, and time for us to bring you what's happening in Ghana and around the world on the news. I am Malti Decider Sadek. We're streaming live on our social media handles, GTV Ghana on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and even on TikTok. Just watch us there whilst you go to work this Friday. Stories making headlines. We're looking at politics, education, agriculture. I will bring you what's happening in the international front. But let's start off with politics. Some members of the minority have called for the suspension of the changes made to its parliamentary leadership. The members had earlier met to decide on a petition to be filed on the issue. Addressing the media after the meeting, the former minority chief whip, Mr. Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, said the NDC leadership in parliament was not consulted ahead of the changes. The MP for Zebila East and the former majority leader, Mr. Cletus Avoka, also stressed the need for deliberations before decisions of such nature are taken.
About 70 people have signed a petition, but some of them had consented even though they are still in their constituencies and are not yet here. We have confidence in our national executive and we respect them as such. But the letter he had received from the secretary of the party that indicating the reshuffle, it is when that letter is read to members of the House that it can take effect. As at now, we are already said we are not there So as far as we are concerned, the current leaders of the House, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, Muntaka and co, are deemed to still be in office. We remain as a body, that we still are an appealing group to the Ghanaian populace, and that they should trust us for December 2024. The basis for our petition is a prayer to suspend the reshuffle signed by the General Secretary of the party until such time that there's a holistic meeting of stakeholders and consultation before we take a decision. We are saying so against the backdrop that the National Executive Committee of the party a few weeks ago decided that all appointees in the party and in Parliament should remain in office until after we have concluded the parliamentary primaries and the flag bearer primaries on the 13th of May this year. We are therefore surprised that the primaries are not yet taken place, they are not yet over, and a reshuffle is hitting the caucus of Parliament. We think that that is premature. The timing is not appropriate, and the consequences are very, very grave for us and could negatively affect our fortunes come December 2024.
Our party as NDC has about 4 decision-making groups. At no such meeting was there any agenda to discuss this. So it is clear that it is a letter, yes, written by the General Secretary, but the decision may be just the decision of some few people in the party. And we believe that our party should sit up, because Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution is very clear. It says that everything that we do must follow democratic principles. I heard some of the officers saying that some elders were sent to talk to us. I'll be very happy to be mentioned which elder was sent to me to talk to me, because nobody has spoke to me. And without casting any insinuation and also creating doubt on the capability of our colleagues, Honorable Atufosin, Honorable Kwame Agboja, and Honorable Amako Fibua. These are our colleagues. I mean, we've been working very closely together, those of you who report from this house. And myself, Honorable Aveji, and the leader himself, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, we will have to be grateful to this caucus. Any day they decide that, oh, we've had enough of you, maybe we want to change direction, we want to change energy, we want to change steam, we will be thankful for the opportunity given us.
Still on the NDC change in leadership, the General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Fifi Kwete, says the decision to reshuffle the Parliamentary Minority Caucus leadership is geared towards strengthening the NDC ahead of the 2024 general elections. He said the party cannot rescue the country from the current social and economic difficulties without fresh leaders in the Minority Caucus. The new minority leader, Dr. Kessiel Atufosin, said the party leadership will engage members of the minority on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, to address outstanding grievances.
We want to use this opportunity to extend our gratitude to the millions of our followers all over this country for the continued show of faith and support to the leadership of the party. We are here because of them. We've been elected by them and to work on their behalf. We are heartened and gladdened by the fact that they continue to stand firmly behind us as leaders. And they are fully conscious of the fact that we are here for just one thing, to do everything we can to ensure that this political party remains a solid vehicle to be able to deliver its mandate of ensuring that we have a great nation, a great and strong nation.
The Minority Caucus will have a maiden meeting with our leadership and the party leadership on Tuesday, 31st of January 2023. It is our hope that on that meeting will resolve all outstanding concerns. And we also wish to assure our former leaders that this leadership will work with them in good faith. And we know, obviously, that the Honorable Haruna's leadership chopped a lot of successes, and we recognize that all of us are product under his leadership. Honorable Muntaka is a stalwart, and we in this leadership will often defer to them as long as decisions are concerned and to seek their input before final decisions will be made.
As part of this engagement, we visited the Speaker's residence. Again, just a courtesy call. I have to say that we were warmly received. We also have benefited from his wise counsel. And so we are very encouraged by it. You know, our priority right now is to make sure that we unite our caucus. That's our number one priority. And that is so important to us. Of course, you cannot lead when your crowd, your people are not united. And that's our singular focus. And we are confident we will do that.
Let's still stay a bit longer in Parliament. Earlier, the incoming minority leader in Parliament, Dr. Kessiel Atuoforson, called for calm and unity among the rank and file of the National Democratic Congress. In his maiden address after his appointment, Dr. Atuoforson said one of his agenda is to press upon President Akufo-Addo to downsize his government. He also announced that the minority caucus has agreed with the Finance and Health Committees of the House to hold public hearings on the controversial COVID-19 expenditure in February.
I wish to use this opportunity again to thank the leadership of our great NDC party who have placed their trust and confidence in me. I am also deeply grateful to our colleagues, the rank and file of our great party, the NDC, and the people of Ghana for their profound support and solidarity. I have held fruitful and positive conversation, in fact, frank conversation, with my senior brother, the Honorable Haruna Iddrisu. I commended him for his admirable leadership and stewardship when he was granted the opportunity by our great party to lead us. As leader, it will be my duty to represent our collective goals in particular, with an unwavering dedication and, most importantly, with high integrity. I have no doubt that with the support of the entire minority caucus in Parliament, we shall succeed. But let me also add that our first responsibility is to unite the caucus. Things of this nature happens, but obviously there is the need for us to show leadership. I wish to first of all send a message to the MPP that the people of Ghana are calling on them to downsize their government, to reflect the mood of the country. You are asking people to forgo their coupons or interest. You are asking the ordinary Ghanaian to sacrifice his payout. And so therefore, if His Excellency the President intends to reshuffle his government, let it be known that we in the NDC will not accept an attempt to increase the size of government. And in the end, we also wish to assure the people of Ghana that as part of our engagement with the Finance Committee and the Health Committee, we have agreed to do public hearing on the audit of the COVID-19 expenditure, public hearing, beginning on the 7th of February 2023. We will also embark on a roadshow where we will galvanize the people of Ghana and educate them on the meaning of what this economic crisis is going to take us through. But to conclude on this matter,
away from Parliament, let's take you to Edukrum, where the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says Africa must prioritize 3 critical areas to the continent's total transformation. At the Africa Business and Policy Dialogue at Edukrum in the Eastern region, Dr. Bawumia said smart investments in critical infrastructure, unleashing the productive capacity and developing the continent into a manufacturing zone, as well as mobilizing about $130 to $170 billion annually to bridge the infrastructure gap, will be key in remodeling Africa. The dialogue pulls political and business leaders and creates a platform to collaborate and implement the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
About the transformation we need, I propose 3 broad areas that we need to prioritize. First, there is the need for smart investments in critical infrastructure. As a continent, we need to produce and trade our way out of poverty and underdevelopment. And we cannot do that without investing in smart infrastructure across the continent. Whilst the last decades have seen some positive investments, there is the need for additional resources to finance the arteries for trade, which include the physical infrastructure such as roads, rail, and energy, digital infrastructure such as data centers, to facilitate the digital transformation, and financial infrastructure to allow for integration of our financial markets. These investments will be critical to delivering the success of the AfCFTA. Second is to unleash the productive capacities across the continent. We must create platforms for knowledge brokerage and access to information on critical products and services on the continent to allow 445 million small businesses across the continent to plug into the value chains of these mega industries. We need to develop Africa into a manufacturing zone that will facilitate the trade of value-added products. These, in my view, will be critical to leapfrog Africa's industrialization and the enormous socioeconomic benefits. This presents immense opportunities for the private sector investors. Attracting private sector participation through public-private partnerships is therefore essential for the delivery of various infrastructure projects. Furthermore, there is the need for innovative policies to mobilize and allocate resources more effectively and for better coordination amongst all African stakeholders and international partners.
Back to the capital from Edukrum, Government of Ghana and the Ghana Insurance Association, GIA, have reached an agreement on the participation of insurance companies in the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP. Under the agreement, insurance companies will participate in the exchange on similar terms as the banks. Government, through the solvency window of the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, will provide support for the insurance companies that are seriously affected by the DDEP. The objective is to protect jobs and the stability of the industry. This milestone, on the back of the successes with the banking industry, has taken the government closer to completing the DDEP, which is a key factor to restore economic stability and growth. Let's look at agriculture now. Smallholder farmers and experts in agriculture have met to share ideas on how to sustain the production of soybean. 100,000 farmers will benefit from a project named Sustainable Soybean Production in northern Ghana. It is to enable rural farmers raise their yields and incomes and improve food security and sustainability.
To close the demand gap for soybean and increase its production in Ghana by 200,000 tons per year as part of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. This is in addition to the current 180,000 ton per year. For this reason, the Sustainable Soybean Production in Northern Ghana project was initiated. It is a project to materialize the multiple potential benefits of soybean to smallholder farmers and other value chain actors engaged in the food and feed sectors in Ghana. Farmers in the northern region are benefiting for 18 months now.
The project aims at providing a sustainable supply of soybean grains for sufficient quality in response to proving local demand, thereby ensuring that producers and all value chain actors, including smallholder soybean producers, generate sufficient margins to continue their engagement in the soybean value chain.
The 4-year project is designed to provide an opportunity for job creation, poverty reduction, and food security in the northern region and the country at large. The project is being implemented in 16 districts across Ghana's 5 northern regions.
We have seen an alarming decline in global food security. Hunger is on the rise, and for the first time in modern history, we might be facing a situation where there will not be produced enough food to feed the world. Small-scale producers must be enabled to withstand and adapt to climate change. They need knowledge, technology and investments and access to local markets.
To address the low soybean yields, the smallholder farmers are supported with subsidized inputs such as seeds and fertilizers.
The potential for us to produce soybeans to solve a lot of employment problems for our youth, create jobs and decent income for our farmers is huge, as high as 700,000 metric tons. Ghana has a capacity to produce that much.
The project coordinator, Professor Samuel Ejay Nsia, advised farmers to plant their seeds between 15th June and 15th July to improve their yields. The Sustainable Soybean Production in Northern Ghana project is funded by the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, NORAD, through Yara Ghana. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
Let's take you to the Upper East region now. Residents of Bongo and surrounding communities in the Bongo district of the Upper East region are to benefit from the government's sustainable and responsible mining initiative. This forms part of a community mining scheme launched in the district.
The community mining scheme aims to promote inclusive and responsible mining as well as create employment opportunities for the youth. At the launch of the program at Bongo, the paramount chief of the Bongo traditional area, Naba Baba Salifu Lamyarum, commended the president and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for the initiative to fight illegal mining. He expressed optimism that the community mining scheme would open up the area for economic activities and improve the living conditions of the people.
This is the only way that can save the people of Bongo from the poverty that has impoverished us. And so I'm grateful that government has chosen Bongo today to do the launch of community mining in Bongo zone.
A district chief executive for Bongo, Madam Rita Atanga, said ensuring persons engaged in small-scale mining receive licenses is a step in the right direction.
We thank you, Minister, for giving our people the license to mine and mine responsibly. And this is an opportunity for the youth in Bongo. We all cannot do the white-collar job. And this is a way we can also earn a living.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, presented a mercury-free machine to the community to assist them in their activities. He advised them to adhere to the safety protocols and regulations in the mining scheme.
We don't have to engage in mining activities in Upper East region in a manner that would degrade, that would destroy the landscape, and that would destroy the water bodies, and that would destroy the environment of Upper East. We cannot afford that. Foreigners are not allowed to participate in the community mining scheme of our country. The law does not permit it. The people who are supposed to be part of this community mining scheme are supposed to be the young men and women of Bongo, of Upper East. First of all, before we even go to Southern Ghana.
Away from Bongo onto education, the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, Mr. Peter Pate Anti, is suggesting that the West African Examination Council, WAEC, must enhance remuneration packages for invigilators to prevent examination malpractices. He was speaking in an interview with GBC News 24 hours after WAEC released provisional results of candidates who sat for the BECE for the 2022 year and private candidates.
For practice. That is where maybe our attention should now be. What kind of supervisors or invigilators do we employ? What are their motivational packages? If you are recruiting somebody and you are giving the person 14 cedis per paper and somebody is able to give him more of that, if that person has not got good integrity, the person would help students to engage in more practice. Especially, I keep wondering what 14-year-olds, 15, 16, or probably 13 years would be doing with mobile phones during an examination like this. So these are concerns that we need to pay attention to, and maybe now shift the focus to during exams more practice, and hopefully we'll be able to also help minimize that.
So what would you recommend as some measures we can introduce or put in place to make examination malpractice unattractive to the student?
Going forward, the focus should also be on conscientizing the society. I mean, some of these schools, they pride in the number of students that they presented, and out of them, the number of students that scored 100%. So we need to also let school authorities, we need to let parents, and then even the students and teachers know that by enabling students to undertake more practices, we are sowing a seed. And definitely in the near future, that seed will germinate. Any attempt to melt out severe punishment to those who engage in more practice is welcome. If it's possible that these people are prosecuted, I think it's something that can deter others from embarking on the same tangents. But what we have to also notice that sometimes some of these things are in-house. I mean, they are WAEC officials, they are invigilators employed by WAEC, they are supervisors employed by WAEC. So we should also do some kind of rigorous check when it comes to selecting some of these people to go and undertake such roles.
Let's do some international news now. The United States has said it is restricting entry to people believed to be responsible for or complicit in undermining democracy in Nigeria ahead of the country's elections this year. According to the U.S. Department of State, the announcement also extends to the families of those accused of anti-democratic efforts.
Nigeria's February 25 elections will determine who will replace President Muhammadu Buhari, who has reached the country's two-term limit after 8 years in office. The vote in Nigeria, Africa's largest economy and most populous country, comes as the country faces widespread insecurity, with the Electoral Commission itself targeted by recent violence. 18 candidates will be vying for Nigeria's presidency, with early polls showing Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress and Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party as the most likely contenders in a country long dominated by the two parties. Peter Obi, a candidate for the Labour Party who has focused combating corruption in his campaign, is also considered a front-runner. Accusations of election rigging have long plagued Nigeria's elections, although officials have vowed that 2023 will be different. They have pinned that pledge to new technology meant to prevent repeat voting, as well as measures aimed at stifling vote buying.
You may have some foreign currencies you need to change. So let's look at the interbank figures, and then we'll look at the prices of gold and cocoa. And it's time for our weather update. Yesterday, our favorite meteorologist, Felicity Ahafionyo, told us how, well, the lake or the water is linked to the weather. And unfortunately, 8 students drowned at Atikogome when they were trying to cross the Volta Lake to school. And so you'd want to know how the weather will look like if you're using the water as transportation or even on land. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to her now. Felicity Ahafionyo, good morning.
Good morning, Maltese.
How is our weather looking like from Friday to Sunday for our fisher folk, our traders, and with those who will be attending events as well?
Thanks so much, and good morning to our audience. Thanks so much for always linking up to GMED Forecast Office. We are much grateful. For today, tomorrow, and Sunday, we have some 30 to 40% chance of rain and likely thunder with moderate winds in the forecast for those of us over the extreme south, places around the Volta region, parts of Greater Accra, central, western, and western north. So for today, we are expecting the rain in the afternoon through the evening hours, where those of us around the Pando areas, we are earmarked for some rain. So the fisher folks around that area on the Volta Lake, they need to be extra careful. And then, as always, they have to get through to the forecast office if they want to do late afternoon into the evening forecast over the lower parts of the Volta Lake. But then the other parts of the country, the dry and hazy conditions will persist over most areas, but then there will be slight relaxation in the. We expect temperatures for today to be a bit uniform, around 35 over most areas, stretching from Greater Accra up to the transition. But those of us over the north, hours will range between 37 and 39 degrees Celsius. Currently, we're having a very active system moving over the sea. So it's not quite advisable for our fisher folks to go onto the sea for fishing activities, but they can do that after midday, where we are anticipating the system to fizzle out or move into Cote d'Ivoire water, so they can have the afternoon into the early hours of the evening for any fishing activities. But we are still monitoring if there will be massive massive rain cloud formations that is likely to bring disaster over the sea. Our marine forecasters would definitely release a warning into the marine community so that they can take their necessary precautions. For the morning hours, mist and fog patches is also expected during this weekend break. So if you are going to be traveling at night into the morning, you need to be a bit careful. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the road users. If you know your car breaks down on the way, please try as much as possible to repark it so that it will not pose a nuisance to another road user, so that we can save lives and property.
Thank you so much, Felicity Ahafionyo, giving us all what we need to look out for. If your car is broken down on the road, try and repack it or tow it, because there's going to be foggy and misty conditions, so drivers may not see ahead of them, and that could be fatal to road users. That's it for GTV Breakfast News. There's more news when you log on to gbcghanaonline.com. Up next, we're looking at tech, how to protect your online footprints. We have Vintage Band in the studio. We'll have Kwesi Pierre Bed later and J9's GTV Breakfast is packed. I'll be back at 7 with sports.